guys, welcome back to ToribashTakeOVer. This is HXCVBQIMO or Hacks, and today we're going to kind of discuss who you should be playing Toribash against. This is 100% a competitive video. This has nothing to do with where you get the fun out of the game, or I'm clearly, whatever I say here doesn't really apply if you're just trying to have a good time. And that doesn't mean that if you're trying to have a good time and you're being competitive as well, that you should ignore this video. It's just this video in particular is about becoming a better player when you're using your time effectively to get to the next level. So a lot of people come to me and ask, who should I be playing Toribash against? There's kind of a dilemma, because if you play someone way above your skill level, like if you just joined the game right now and you're not playing okay players or decent players or great players, or you jump straight to the top and you're versing elite level players, top urban players, the top flow player, alpha players, RAR players, etc. Those type of people will beat you by such a large amount that you might not be able to learn that much from it. Especially, you won't be able to learn from your own mistakes. So when you play someone who's a lot better than you, the only thing you can really learn is a goal or model to kind of replicate. You can't learn from your own mistakes because there's going to be too many to count, and the mistakes that you made are going to skew how that player played. But what you should probably rather do is save replays of them playing great players. So it's worth it to wait in line and just watch in a decap room with like Lenshu 3 going on, watching T.I. Cox play Winver, who's playing Payne from USSR, or other great Dax from TGS. They're just great Lenshu players, and watch them go at it and save those replays, because if you save a replay where the greater player, like a great player, this isn't just someone better than you, this is just like an elite level player to you, is playing you, then he's not going to be able to play to his full potential, and he's not going to be able to react on a pro level because you're making too many mistakes. So you really want to capture them within the most competitive setting you can find them. That's why if you ever see a clan league match going on, you can get in, do it, because I know that Flo is playing Urban very soon, I think this weekend. I know that RAR is playing TGS this weekend. So those are two great matches that you don't want to miss out on. So try to get in there, try to watch the pro level players play, and save those replays. So that's the type of information you can gain when you witness or play elite level players. I would do that if you're a new player very rarely, about 10% of the time. If you're good, then I would bump that up to maybe 20% to 30%. And if you're great, then that should be the bulk of the people who you're playing. That should be the larger percentage of the people who you're playing. Then below elite are people that are really good or like really competitive. So this is the gist of the high-end specialized clans. So there are clans specifically made for Wushu, and there used to be a clan specifically for Techion, and there's Aikido clans out there, or at least organizations if you can't find clans. So a great example would be like Team Wushu members, or Order of the Techion players. I would love to say Team Aikido, but and Bushido, it's more, Team Sambo would be a good example, but they're more of the elite level. I can't really think of a competitive level Aikido team. Really, just Clan TGS would be perfect for that, actually. Regardless, if you're playing someone really competitive and they clearly know what they're doing, they are just refining their skills before they become masters or elites of their traits, and you're new, this is when you can start to understand your own failures, but then again, still, it's more of a model of what are they doing right. The good part about this is that there's a lot more great players than there are elite players, so you'll have the opportunity to play with them more. And in terms of learning from them, again, it's more of what are they doing right rather than what you're doing wrong. We take a step further down the list and we just get to competitive or decent players. These are players that have the functional mechanical abilities to play the mod. That is to say, if you're playing Techion, these players can counter a snap kick. These players can create a kick over 40 speed and can get a DM fairly reasonably. These players can stop a lift. They are functionally decent players within their respective mods. However, they haven't fine-tuned their abilities or acquired their own style to become competitive and in those higher level clans, and they certainly aren't elite yet. These are the players that everyone can learn from. If you're a great player, you can learn from their mistakes rather than your own mistakes, because you have to infer that if you're playing someone worse than you and you score a lot of points or something, it's more than likely because of their mistakes. But use them as a great example of things you shouldn't do. So save those replays and try to, oh, he kind of went a little too aggressive here, and that kind of reminds me that you can't, unless you have a surefire way to score a lot of points, you can't have your head anywhere near them, etc. That's when you can learn that sort of information. And if you're a poorer player or you're newer to the game, this is where the bulk of your learning comes from. This is the first level of player that you can examine your own faults and their pros kind of at the same time. Anything below that, you don't want to examine their pros. If they're below just competent, then by learning from them rather than learning from yourself, you will develop bad habits and bad traits. An example of that would be if you see a lower level player shoveling and it working well. You don't want to dissect that information as shovels are like this go-to strategy and I'm going to shovel a lot more, because it's not. It's just the fact that you were playing poorly. That's why you lost to the shovel. So you don't want to infer about why they're good. You just want to be able to infer about why you're bad at this point. You can actually identify your own mistakes with these players, so that's when I would start doing that. Below that is almost functional. These are the people who like come back 50% of the time, but other times they are like, shoot, I'm running the other direction now. That was a complete accident. I'm so sorry. These are the people that what I like to call fighting the game mod rather than the opponent. If you can disqualify in Wushu without your opponent giving you any downward force or anything like that to force you into that, you're still fighting the mod. When you are in a no grab Aikido situation, you can't stay in the dojo because you just don't know how to balance yourself within the arena, you're fighting the mod. If you can DQ in a time DQ setting, or if in spirit wrestling if you're causing a lot of self damage, you're fighting the mod, not the player, and that's where I would rank these sort of people. Really, you can only learn from your mistakes when you're beating them at this point. You can't really infer much from them at all. If they're at this level, it's hard to learn from them. So, in short, to wrap up this idea, this concept, play people, have a couple of replays in your favorite mods of two iconic players duking it out in a competitive setting, and try to digest both. If you're the lower levels of play, you should digest them functionally, like literally what are they doing? Extending hips, contracting knees, contracting hips, rotating chest, got it. As you get better, you can absorb their information more abstractly, so you can be like, oh, he's not flipping his ace card early, so he's typically staying on the defensive side. That's something I can internalize. Or, oh, he's relaxing. He's not really ever contracting his wrist in TK. That's probably why his wrist didn't break, and mine typically do. Oh, when he tried to go for the lift, after the lift ended, he didn't just continue lifting him. He jumped in the air and got his feet in position. That's really interesting. I wonder if I should try to incorporate in that play. So that's how you absorb elite level. It's basically how you absorb high level. Um, and what you do from there is based on your own ability. If you're a good player, you should be learning from your mistakes and their pros. If you're an elite player, you should be learning from both your mistakes and their pros. I mean, two players can be elite and in the same mod, for that matter, and still have completely different reasons why they're so good. For instance, Begotten is an elite player, and he is very good at realistic movement, and he does a very niche thing, which is he uses his double contracted hips to do kicks, and I've never done that. It's like a really weird thing, and it seems like it lacks power to me, but he has found a constructive way to use that tool. Whereas I'm very focused on unpredictability and having a lot of potential energy rather than kinetic energy when I play. So I can learn, I can teach Begotten about more defensive, how to not show your hand. And below that, you just have to understand that there's an order to how you learn. Obviously, play with your friends as much as you want and have a great time, but it's important to digest who are you playing, figure out a good way to assess who you're playing. Think if they're a great role model, a good role model, an amazing role model, or a role model of what you shouldn't be doing. And then use that information appropriately to become a better player. This is how one improves. This is how one becomes really, really good really, really quickly. The higher level the player you can play and abstractly learn both your mistakes and their successes from, the faster you learn. This is exactly how a player like Earth got from wherever he was to such a high level of TK. It's because he watched players like 0815 Rocker and more than likely his idol Imskew play each other. And he watched them and watched them and watched them. And then he got to the point where he started countering 0815 Rocker's snap kicks and dueling against Imskew. And there's just that's how he got to where he was. I got to where I was because I kept. Well, first I joined a competitive Wushu clan until I got kicked at a very early time in my development. But past that, I spent hundreds of thousands of TC dueling the best Wushu player in Toribash at the time, and probably still today, over and over and over again, and saved those replays. If you found my old desktop, it has probably about 35 to 50 replays only from duels between me and him, so I could dissect them over and over again. And that's how I got to where I was. So if you use that tool and you combine it with the tool I've given you earlier, which is the video about winning, alternative objectives outside of winning, these are the two tools that can escalate you quickly to the top. These are the people who are socially networking out to the best players. Those are the people who become the next generation of best players. So I know the lines are long when you're trying to play them. I know it feels annoying as mess to lose to them all the time, but there is too much to be gained and too valuable of information to be had from playing amazing players not to do it. So I highly, highly recommend you do it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, hit the like button down below. If you're new to my channel and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you think other people could benefit from this video, go ahead and share it. If this was one of your favorite videos, hit the favorite button. And thank you so much. We're almost at 600 subscribers. It's really exciting. And let's make sure Toribash takes over.